From Bungoma, Gongwa, Monbasa, Mvita, Sasanian, Persia. When might met the bright. This is a story of greatness in the battlefield. Yes, this is when might met the bright. The Roman Empire met the mighty Persian Empire in the games to the death. Not in the arena this time, in the battlefield. The Romans were a great empire. They ruled the world. Yes, they ruled the world. And by then, the world started from Scotland down the countries of the Scandinavia, not up to the Middle East and North Africa. That was the whole of the known world. So if you told people about the world that time in those places, that was the world. Get North Africa, get Europe, get a bit of Britain and a bit of the Middle East. And you'd gone around the whole world at that time. They did not know the other places. And what happened? The Romans, who are rulers, who had the best army, an army that exceeded any army in its might, wanted to expand their territories towards the east. They had good fighting arrays, best trained soldiers. They headed towards the east, past the country we call Iraq that time. They entered a country that was called Persia until the name was changed later, because the name Iran came during my lifetime when, was it the ruler? The ruler. Pahlavi was overthrown in the Islamic revolt. It was Persia, and then now it was renamed Iran. That time, Persia had a mighty king, a great one. His name was Shapur. But unknown to the Roman Empire, they thought it was going to be a walkover. So they told Shapur, surrender to us, pay taxes, and we shall go. But Shapur gave them a big no. The Romans prepared for war. They had trained. They used to rehearse. They were like machines in the battlefield. Shapur gathered his army. Those who would ride horses and the archers. And he had a surprise for the Roman army. The Romans prepared. They saw the groups that Shapur had brought and they knew it was a walkover. The battle began, and the Romans were fighting using the style called the saw. That is, they had 3 lines of people. Some in front, some in the middle, and the experienced behind. So, how it would work in battle, the first line would fight. After a short while, it retreats. And the second line advances fighting, and it retreats. The third line is fighting, and it retreats. So they were fighting, leaving spaces in between. And it was as if it was a saw cutting, the teeth of a saw. Every person coming is fresh. They fight you to exhaustion. After fighting for some time, the Persians were ordered by Shapur to flee. And the Romans knew it was over. They followed, knowing now we have defeated them. Follow them, defeat them, knock them down. As they were doing that, the Persians were commanded, and they gave the famous Persian fleeing style shot. So they were riding horses, they would turn and shoot, and they would shoot straight. And the Roman soldiers started falling, pursuing and following and falling. But that was not the only surprise. As they pursued, they didn't know they were entering into a trap. On both sides, Shapur had hidden soldiers in something that had never been seen in the West, in the Roman Empire before. They had soldiers who had metal armor, visor, everything, the hands everywhere, metal. And they had horses in coats of metal, shiny, hidden. And Shapur gave an order, and from the sides came glittering horses and glittering horsemen who could not be knocked down by swords, who could not be shot through by the arrow. And it was the greatest surprise that the Romans got. They were beaten thoroughly, and the whole army almost wiped out, I think, as a small number of them were captured. And for the first time, a Roman Caesar was taken prisoner. His name was Valerian. And Shapur was a very proud man. He ordered those soldiers that had been captured with Valerian to build the houses they used to build for their leaders, and for them a small camp. And they would stay with their king. But their king was a footstool for Shapur. So whenever Shapur wanted to go out, Valerian will be called, he will bend down, and Shapur will step on his back and ride his horse. Total humiliation. And that's the way the captured people stayed. The Roman army was not able to organize fast to come and do anything. And Valerian stayed in that shame until when he died. And when he died, Shapur thought that was not enough shame. He ordered them to skin Valerian, and they dried his hide, and it was put in their temple to honor their god. Then the Roman army decided again to send a reinforcement, a well-trained army to take revenge. They underestimated the Persian army. They came, and as they were coming, Shapur did what he did the first time. The Romans were not aware of the ability of the Persians to fight. And they came with their new styles, formations, and they attacked. This one was led by Manius Aquilius and Marcus Licinius, crushers. And they attacked in anger. They wanted to revenge. And the same thing happened. The Persians fought, and then they fled. And the Romans knew they had gained victory. And they followed. And the Persians did the famous fleeing, shooting style. And before the Romans would realize, soldiers in shining armored horses came from the sides. And again the army was crushed. The two leaders who had led the army, Manius Aquilius and Marcus Licinius Crassus, were taken captive. And Shapur this time did not want to take people to put them in a Roman style made palace. He told them, you'd come to Persia to take gold. Both of you are going to take gold. And so he ordered his people to smelt gold, and he poured burning gold into their mouths, and they died with gold in them. That was the last time the Romans made an advancement towards Persia. They got to know that Persia had a fierce fighting force. Shapur lived until when he died. His leadership started in 222 BC and it ended in 651 BC. He died in his capital, Bishapur. It is a story that shows that when you are mighty, it does not mean that you will always be on the top. You may be mighty today. And who knows, tomorrow you may get your match. What am I talking about? I'm talking about countries in the world. People in the world. There are countries that feel great. But there are situations that come and you find you are humiliated. Yes, you are humiliated not because you are not good, but because you find people are so practiced and you become an underdog. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about countries of the world learning to respect one another. Parties in countries learning to respect one another. Communities in countries like in a country learning to respect one another. Because you never know. Today you may be up the ladder like the Roman Empire, and tomorrow you might find yourself in a position like Valerian, becoming a footstep for somebody to ride his horse. As we handle one another, let's always know that things change. Tomorrow might not be like today. There is a saying in our language, Kiswahili, aliye juu mungoje chini. If you climb, eventually you'll have to come down. But also there is a saying that when you are down, don't forget those who are down, so that when you are up, they don't let you fall down. They will hold your hand and help you step down. But if you forget them, then they will let you fall. That is a lesson we should learn in life. That's a lesson the so-called superpowers should learn, the so-called developed countries should learn, that things keep changing. Some countries were up there, then things happened, they receded. And things go like that, things go changing. So, when you're up, respect those that are below. Because one time you might also find yourself needing something from those that were below. That is my take for now.